Au ya you. You will lay a desire. Then I'd wear that power. Gay, via to this again. I say, oh, me, I'm right. And by doing you, I'm a part of your part with them. Well, you'll learn it goes away. Alas, I will that you are not. We say you. Papa Mora, get me up when anywhere, Momba Sivole. Sivole. L'arrangeur parmi national, très trop fort. We are glad that we want by say so where that you will get. I want I go. There be oh. Do a play you go back for Monya. Papa ni guitar, petit, brother Sasoni. Kaidaga. Bena paya posa go mambo panjagu. Apo blow akafoi. Apo zanyo kafoi. Be afonte mo bandi yo kwa kleju kiyen. Nyanjo si mwen. Boss go kata tuyo kwe atinyo di won. Emo o. Nese to kan. Kwisi izwa kokoke wede yebe. Koworia nakanda salute. Bosu jata triyo kwe atinyo di won. Emo o. Nese to kan. Na kwisi izwa kokoke wede yebe. Koworia kanike. Na konkete nyambe wewe. Na nyonsa on feble ane. Eyajo, ole yajo. Let's do what yes, you have the work. Are you an hour? Taibo Bodagiano, and I will say you over. I want the young Kamala, I need a boy. And yes, I'm going to buy them when we're gay. Imo, am I gay? One of what I want, I guess me, I'm done, and in the boy. Oh, ow. Taibo Bodagiano, and I will say you over. So like it, I'm going to never boy. Netoni and Rayo. Hey, you. Papa Quick, say, oh, yeah, I'm a walking ever. Kaidaga, when it was to work, I go to let you know your cafe. I just know. This is what I say. What? Taibo boy, yeah. You like to have them one by one, them on the telephone by Potamu, Tanyada. Planning Papa, bring a case, yeah. Baka on lage, the QSC for the PSC. The 10 years ago, you can up one, there was a ball, was a dressy, Mambo, Palipo Potagiano, and I will say you over. I will.
Welcome, Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio. Folks, I want to welcome all of you. I apologize for the audio issue we have earlier. I hope we're fine now. Those of you that good enough to stay with us, we say thank you very much. We really do appreciate your time here this afternoon. Thank you very much. What you could do for us, though, if you care to, and that is to share. Please share this video as much as possible, because we're not going to go full time with time and try to share anymore. So if you can share, we'll appreciate it. If not, that's fine. We say thank you anyway. Let's get it going. This is LIBERIA Public Radio. Sam Sinto. I'm working frantically here, trying to get things going because I'm behind time. Safety. Very short safety issue here this afternoon. Take care of your car, and your car will take care of you because I'm running out of time. But the last thing, even if it doesn't matter what I'm running out of time, the last thing I want to say to you here is please do not drink and drive on this Friday. Please, we love you, and we hope that you will do all you can to stay with us because we love you. Please don't do anything that will not be safe. Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio. Let's get going. We're behind time here a little bit. Okay. This is what you get when you do upgrade and you decide to do upgrade on the fly. But that's okay. That's okay. We want to thank Mr. Soul, Mr. Nataro Kripor, and Mazola. Thank you guys very much. LPR family, thank you guys very much. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to be here with you guys again this evening. We say thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, just give me a few more minutes here. Okay, we're trying to adjust ourselves from time to time. Okay, all right, we're doing that. We're doing that. We're getting there. Anyway, thank you, thank you. Those of you that's with us, please. All we ask you to do this evening for us is to please share this here, and we'll get the program going here as soon as possible. Thank you very much, Samson to LeBron Pub Radio. Let's get it going. Enough of this. Uh, I'm gonna apologize to Tree here anyway. Samson too. I love it when I do that, folks. It's thing that I used to do 2-3 days ago. I'm finding it difficult here with this new upgrade. They didn't tell me a lot of stuff, but that's okay. You know who I am. I don't need to show that anymore. Anyway, that's Dr. Weir. Folks, I want to thank all of you again this evening for joining us. We appreciate it. And those of you that have places to go, please, if you care to, that's fine. We say fine. It's on a Friday afternoon. It's not like we're rushing or anything like that. One of the problems that I'm having is the glass tabletop. It keeps showing the reflection. It's messing with me. No, it's not like that. But anyway, folks, thank you. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We're going to have a wonderful, wonderful show. That's Dr. Weir. And as usual, I'll go ahead and play the video of Dr. Weir during the election when Dr. Weir was going throughout the country. And for me, that's something that I will continue to play because I share this video very much. For me, yeah, power sometimes can do things to people. But when this young man was running, look at the kind of places he was going. That's the kind of thing that I want to keep in my heart. I'm not too much involved into what is happening lately. Human nature, it'll fix itself. But I'm going to talk about that. But let's look at like Dr. Weir during the election.
Let's make sure you do that same thing for you so you can hold. Yeah, we hold the stage. I don't need show the road. You must stay. We're going to junior that before. No, I beg you. Let's make sure you do that same thing for you so you can hold.
That's Dr. Weir. And for some reason tonight, I hope you bear with me. I mean, you've seen these videos so many times, I don't even need to put a name on there for you to know what the video is about. So, those of you that joining us, that's Dr. We are during the election, when he was running campaign and going all over the country, working in a month, which I thought was very interesting because now that you see Dr. We have so much focus on the road issue. For me, that's some of the reason why, and that's what I like to play. The next one is Ghana. Ghana, folks. I just play these things from time, from one to another. This is Ghana. When the Ghana has a system that they put in place for safety and to make sure what is happening, to monitor what the traffic condition is going to look like. When do they turn? When you have these kinds of camera, you can actually decide what traffic signal is turned on faster, because if the traffic is getting too heavy, you want the queue to continue to move faster and faster. And these cameras that are placed in the intersection, my understanding, because I spoke with somebody today who was also from Ghana as an engineer, he said one of the reasons they did that because they wanted to know the traffic congestion, what area that is more prevalent to have level D and what have you. Then what they do then is they would call radio stations and say if this street and that street is going to be congested for some time. Then the radio station the announcer will go on air and start announcing that this is not just safety, this is also giving information out to public. And I believe that we Liberia have the ability to do the same thing. Nothing here. So I think this is a very interesting. Okay, so let's go and look at Ghana.
Afrikiko Junction, Accra, Tema Motorway. Apollo in the Western region. The police is watching you. Over 1,000 of these cameras have been installed at strategic locations across the country. These cameras have made police surveillance more effective and giving a boost to fighting crime. Playbacks have also been very useful. In this particular case, investigation into a road accident.
Good morning, police emergency. How may I assist you?
These cameras are operated from emergency command centers in Accra, Kumasi, and Tamale that are now receiving a record number of calls.
When the call comes in, the system automatically generates a case form.
The case form is meant to solicit the essential information required from the caller. If it is a motor accident, are there any persons injured? If it is a robbery, are the robbers armed? And so on. All calls can be traced to where they are made. In case a call drops, the operator can call back. Once a call is processed, the information is sent to the dispatch section for patrol teams in the field. One challenge are prank calls that divert attention from real emergencies.
Prank calls must stop. In a genuine emergency, you may not be able to access our emergency command center.
Locating crime scenes promptly is another. Many houses and dwellings in Ghana are located on unnamed streets. This is being addressed by the new GPS address system, which is an integral part of the new emergency response system.
This command center is a milestone along the way of the transformational agenda that the Ghana Police Service has launched. The Ghana Police Service, as I speak to you, is about total number strength of 33,000. For the population of Ghana, the minimum strength should have been 56,000. At 33,000, the police to civilian ratio is 1:848, which is far lower than the UN minimum of 1:500. Therefore, the result to the digital intervention is meant to ameliorate or to mitigate the defect or deficiency or the deficit, which stands at 23,000 police personnel. This intervention, which is going to make it easier for the police to monitor crime and make it easier for people in need to get in touch, therefore making it more efficient for them to check crime, it's a welcome intervention.
Folks, that's Dr. Weir. Once again, okay. By the way, that's Dr. Weir right now. But before that was the Ghana, and the reason they're gonna accuse me, Samson to is Dr. Weir. All right. Well, let's get going. Let's get going. But anyway, the reason I continue to show Ghana because I want people to understand that we too can do the same thing. So let's get on with the next video. You know what the next video is coming up now. Okay, watch this other video. This is Dr. Weir during the opening of the Dual community. Let's watch it.
Yesterday, I was here. Yesterday, I drove here. I saw most of you people, nobody knew I was in the car. The place was closed and they want to break it, so I passed around. But what I saw yesterday, it should not be happening here. You see, when someone says development, that means you are developing change from having developed to develop. So what happened yesterday, the garages, car parking, and no access to road here, you need to encourage your people to not park cars in the middle of the road. I was there yesterday. I watched the game that was playing yesterday. I was here. If you noted, there was one Lexus, one black car was on the road yesterday. I was in that car. So you see, I was here, I was in Lokita, I was around. And all of y'all are using bike to survive. I beg you, what I noted yesterday, you should not be doing it. Because we'll ask the police, the safety people to make sure that they summon you. What I saw yesterday, motor vehicles were all over the place. They cannot be in line if they are a survivor. If the world gave you what you want in life, make sure you do it well. Yesterday, I had to stop a motorbike right there. They have 4 kids for 1-year-old babies. And the guy in the middle, I had to stop the bike and put the children down on there. You see, so sometimes I say to my not at the house, to move. Not to stop what you're doing. Yesterday, I was not happy yesterday when I came on the community road. Because they park all the keke on the road, people doing garages, and what is wrong. We did not build a road for garage. We build a road so the children are going to go to school, so your car can go freely. So, if you come back here, the police will be there, anyone. Because of development of brainwave prosperity. Anybody back here, the police will charge you to pay. So you go down, let's follow the road. So I'm happy today.
That's Dr. Weir giving our information about the Dual community project. And you heard my argument before. And my argument has always been that that particular information should have been passed on to the public long before that. Topic tonight, before I go on to my main topic tonight, I first of all want to thank the Weir-led government for the wonderful, wonderful job they have done. They have the people, the Salif and the Weeks, they're out of jail. I thought that was wonderful for the government to allow them to file bond and get out. That's the law. That's the law. And we appreciate that. We appreciate that. So we also hope that they found the information provided yesterday from Cedric Martian, which they said the president have instructed another agency to do some sort of a forensic investigation in terms of the map out $25 million map out issue. So I hope that is something that they will take serious and look into it, and hopefully that Liberians will try to understand that these things are not strictly for revenge. These things are not got you type of stuff. If you are responsible for a specific tax, if the president asks you to do a specific tax, and you then try to utilize the friendship, you try to utilize the privilege that is provided to you by trying to skirt the law, then if the law found you guilty, they should come after you. The point of the investigation, my opinion, the point of the investigation, any investigation, if it is done correctly, if it is not done with some sort of a hidden agenda, if it is done correctly, we all welcome that. If it is done correctly, it's either to the accuser should be exonerated if not found guilty, or if he found guilty, let him face law. It has nothing to do with friendship. It has nothing to do with who the person is, whether it's your supporter or not. But once you have made it the rule, once you have made it public that the people need to be investigated, then the issue then for me becomes that the president and everyone else who are friends of those who's going to be investigated, they should pretty much have some sort of a hand off and let the people do their work. And those who also going to be investigated must also be honest enough to say if these people are not responsible for something that have happened, then they must say so. They must carry out the investigation very quickly, and those people need to be exonerated. They should be able to do so very quickly because people character is on the line. Okay, and we appreciate the president coming out to make that statement. I really do appreciate that, but it must be done with responsibility. Those who are charged to carry out this responsibility to investigate, they must do so without any pretend or some sort of a hidden agenda. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying that. So again, the fact that the people that were arrested, now that they are out of jail, they will now face the law, and if they're not found guilty, they will go home free, no question asked. But then again, that's just to show that Liberians and Liberia itself, quite, from a country just coming out of civil war, to have these kinds of legal issues being resolved from one point to another, having people to post bail, and then they're going to get out, talking about $16 billion, and the people going to get out. That's a wonderful thing to see, and I really, really do appreciate that, because that's just showing us as Liberians that we are capable of handling our own issues. And that's for me tonight will start my program. Folks, let me go back to my usual subject. The mother of the land used to be, she's still a mother of the land, former President Madam Salif. I will say again, because that will be my base, very actual basis of my conversation here tonight. Because she failed us, my opinion, and I could be wrong. I'm not saying my opinion are the best. In fact, far from it. Far from it. But I truly believe, it's my opinion, I truly believe that the mother of the land failed us. She did not take all of us as her children. She only took few and her biological children to be her children. She did not consider herself to be the mother of the land, which some of us thought that she would do, and some of us consider her the mother of the land. But she did not put in place, and she's not a slouch. Okay, Madam Salif has been around. Madam Salif she was one of those presidents that you would say this person is quite prepared. Okay, even though they did not have plans That's one thing. Being prepared and being able to implement some of the plans that you have is two different things. They did not have plans, okay, and it shows. And this is exactly the result that we're facing now, okay. When she came in, Liberians, what first thing, they were tired of war. Liberians were hoping that she would be able to give us some sort of a structure. A political, I continue to refer to it as political structure. Okay, and why do I say political structure? Because political structure, those of you who are political student, a political science student, when I say political structure is an institution in which the operation of a government, of the institution, flow freely, where the interaction of agencies within that institution work hand in hand. That's a structure. We didn't have it. The mother of the land did not provide that structure for us. She knows exactly what to do. She could have done it. But I believe that when she came in at first, she was quite ready to lay it out, because at that time when she came in, they used to refer to her as Iron Lady, Liberia Iron Lady. You remember the conversation she had with Firestone? It was on video somewhere, floating around in the world somewhere, and she made it clear to Firestone, we're not going to let you guys push us around anymore. You've been in this place for a very long time, and yet still the people that are working for you, their children are not able to go to school, decent school. The place that people live in, they're not place that you will have a human being live. You got to do better than that. She faced Firestone down, and Firestone blinked. And that's why some of us were so happy, even though I wasn't involved into like a policy or whatever. But I thought she was somebody that would give us the structure that some of us were yearning for. She didn't do that. And this is why we have some of these things we have today. Let's go back to structure. I believe that the banking institution, if there was a structure, don't get me wrong, there might be structure, but the structure was not obeyed. Now that's a different thing. The banking structure is not, it must have been there. That's fine. But the leadership, because the banking institution operates within that political structure that I'm talking about. So each of the institutions that are within that political structure, they must have their own structure in order for them to operate freely. And some of them do. However, if those structures of the institution that are within the political structure, if they are not strong enough, they cannot survive. And that's why the leadership should have provided this political structure. For those institutions that have weaker structure will be able to stand. Am I making sense? Well, it doesn't matter. Okay? So when our mother came in, like I said, there was no structure. Okay? She refused. And I said refuse, and I'll use that word intentionally. Refuse. Okay? You say, well, Mr. Toh, were you there? You have any proof or whatever? But look at what we have now. Look at the kind of mess we have. Look at the kind of thing we have. She was there for 12 years, and I have a paper here that clearly told us they have within her, during her administration, $25 billion, according to the paper, went through the Liberia economy. What do we have to show? I'm not even going to. Okay? The international community trusted her, believed in her. That perhaps even if we were not hoping to bring Liberia from, a country that just coming from a war and bring us into this modern day civilization, not do that. She decided instead, once again, my opinion, she decided instead to weaken some of the political institution, such as the legislatures. The legislature were not being supported strongly by her. In order for so that the legislature should have been an independent branch of a government, because there's three. But what does she do? Most of the time, influence the decision-making process of the legislatures. Go in, according to report, they call it brown paper bag or paper brown bag, whatever they do. Give them things for them to pass law. If the law is being debated, those who argue strongly against, and perhaps if they were winning, those people get called according to the story. So she did not support the institution, the legislation, to be strong and independent. Because you need that. You need the independence of the legislatures for them to be able to stand on their feet. Because they are co-equal branch of the government. And if you have those kinds of stuff, co-equal branch of a government, not necessarily adversarial relationship. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about independent legislature, but collaborating with the executive to move Liberia up. But she did not do so. She decided, because if people didn't get, she was not getting her way, she wants to make sure she get her way by doing whatever she's going to do. In the process, weakening the legislatures. And therefore, we're not going to be able to get what we want. Going back to the executive. Once some of these young people that are working for her, now the weeks, the Salif, I told you the last time, these are highly educated people. They're not from Total. These people went to school, highly educated. They're not from Mwepliwe University. These people were trained. But because she decided to weaken some of the in fact, not some of the, but in fact, in her own executive, how many times did you see in or heard or read something that somebody stood up to her? There's one person that I know, I'm not going to call their name, that stood up to her. No, two. The other one I will call John Molu. And the other one, I'm not going to call his name. After that, both of them were gone. So she wanted to say, I say must stand. And if you have those kinds of issues, how then do you expect a country to move forward? It's not happening. And because of that, we're paying for that today. After the war, folks, most of you are not that young. You're still young, but you know what I'm talking about. After the war, when they met over there in Accra to have that peace, before Accra, they have gone all over the world. Liberia having meeting here to settle things. Liberia having meeting here to settle this. They went all over trying to settle it. And when the opportunity was given, Liberian decided to meet in Accra. And most of the participants, some of whom I know very well, most of the participants were serious, genuinely believing that it is time to restart the whole process. The Constitution have already been written. And it's very fresh. Remember now, I believe the Constitution was written, 1986? So it was and the people that wrote the Constitution, or revamp, whatever you want to call it, they were not people that were born in the 1500, something like that, 1915, something. These were young people who have gotten involved into the present day civilization, as you will call it. So they were very much involved. And those that were involved in writing the Constitution, it was a unique situation for Liberia. These were not all American Liberians. These were people, some of them were born in the villages, and they understood the culture of our land. So they were able to blend into the culture. If you read that document, with a clear understanding, you will see some of the culture of our society all in our constitution. So the constitution was already been written when they met in Accra. So they were not about to tempt him with the constitution. They decided to leave that alone. Liberian decided to come up with a peace accord. They decided, okay, we're going to have an election, free and fair election. Don't tell me, say, they got pushed by United States and people, they were scared. No, Liberian was just tired dying. During the heat of the war, when Liberian was not tired dying, they didn't care who you sent. You sent any troop, they will fight because they were not tired. But once they got tired dying, it didn't take long for them to realize that they have to stop it. So that's besides that. So when they decided to go ahead and come up with the peace accord agreement, which is the framework of starting everything all over, my opinion. So what do we have with this? They have an interim government. The interim government came in and they were doing some stuff that was not even necessary. Some corrupt behavior. But Liberian was saying, no, let them do whatever. They're only there for a certain time. We're not going to fool around with it. They're not going to finish the elephant meat. That was some of the things the people were saying here in the United States. Leading people, they will not finish the elephant meat. They consider Liberia elephant meat. So when the interim government left, Madame Sali came in. All over the world, people refer to her as what? Harvard-trained economist. That means she was going to be able to manage the economic systems of Liberia. And she did that. She did it well. She was able to help Liberia to have a debt relief. She was able to bring Liberia back on the world map in terms of the economic practices and what have you. However, on the international stage, because she's been there, she knows the rule. So she was showing the international partner the rules. But when you go underneath, which the international partner were not ready to go, they believe that since she's showing there what needs to be done up top here, they believe that she was training the young people to make sure the structure that she tend to present up here was also being presented at the bottom. But here's the issue. It was a hollow, very hollow presentation that she was giving to the international community. Because there was nothing at the bottom. Nothing at the bottom. So she decided she's not even going to pay attention to corruption. One of the things that got some of us and some other international community people, because I used to read a lot and I'm still reading, but some of the concern they had. Remember John Molu? The young man that came in. And he came with a pen ready to help Madame Salif, help us put the structure in place that will have guided the situation and will have stopped all of the rumbling that we have today. She didn't do that. She decided to get rid of this young man. When John Molu time was over, they didn't renew. Why? Because John Molu said that her government is corrupt more than the interim government. If the man believed that, he's helping. If he says that, tell him, show me. And let him point out to you what he's talking about. And then you go after those, not necessarily throwing them in jail, but expose them. As Liberians, they do not want other Liberians to benefit. Expose those people and get them out of the way. But guess what? Most of them, and this is why this nepotism continues to hurt us. The nepotism behavior that we have in our country continues to hurt us, ladies and gentlemen. Because If you bring your brother, if you bring your sister, if you bring your, remember Sister Jenny? Okay. If all of your relatives are serving under your leadership in a government, if something goes wrong, which one of the relatives you're going to fire? I have a friend, he has a company. He has a brother that was managing the account and stuff like that, but he wasn't doing much. So the other guy, the partner, said, we can't have him. So he asked the guy, he said, wait, you want me to fire my brother? So the man, so my mom would say, why you fire your brother but no job here and you want me to fire my... That's the same. That's the same thing. And these are behavior that are ingrained in us. I would have done the same thing. But those are kinds of stuff we need to stay away from. If it is a private company, I can see that, because that's a private institution. But a government institution, you must be able to operate with all Liberians in mind, being able to produce. You bring them on board. She didn't do that. And therefore, when Malu made that statement, she took it to heart, because that statement most likely, well, that finger was most likely pointing at some relatives, some family member. And Eddie, we can't have that kind of thing. We're gonna marry the country man from Lofa coming to cause people here. What wrong with you? You gotta go. Forgetting to know that Malu would have helped them, even with all his cocky attitude, he would have helped them. No, they didn't want that. So they let Malu go. Who did they bring? They brought one other man. He didn't even stay there 2 months. Issue started. She should have known better. She should have known better. And there were other people, highly educated Liberians, that were willing to help. But some of them went there and said, no, this is a family business. I can't deal with it. You can't put in structure with a nepotism type behavior going on in your government. So at the end, she decided, okay, if you're going to steal, don't steal too much. Pretty much like that. I'm just paraphrasing. I wasn't there, but that's the kind of behavior that was there. It was pervasive. It was pervasive all over the place. People were taking money. Don't have Liberians at heart. And then you say, but Mr. To, any other person come in, they will do the same thing. I agree with you. But at what point do we become Liberians? Where the definition of being a Liberian is to help other Liberians to get out of the hole. When? And when? When do we do that for ourselves? She didn't lay the structure, the political structure that we needed at the time. She could have considered herself the founding partner, the founding pioneer of the Republic of Liberia, even though we already have them. But we turned things around. The Civil War decimated the whole political life in Liberia, including human life, pretty much. Destroyed property, infrastructure was non-existent. This was the time, ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you this afternoon, and I'm not going to fool around with this, that a leader, a true leader, should have come in and help us. Because Liberians were ready to follow a true leader. This is the time that we need people like Nkrumah or Patrick Lumumba over there in Congo should come in now and help us. It didn't happen. We follow the mother because first, most Liberians felt she's a woman. And she has been around. She has gotten in trouble over a lot of things. Because she felt previous government were not doing things to help Liberians. And so she decided to challenge them. They threw her in jail. So people knew her history. So people follow her, thinking that with all that problem that she have gone through, she's quite prepared. And she know exactly what she wants. And she know exactly what to take us. So people were willing. Number one, she's a woman. And most Liberians, besides the Civil War, how many Liberian riots, even with all of this wrangling that is happening, that you can stand in public and insult women in public? I'm talking about people that stay behind a computer and cussing. I don't want to talk about that. One, anybody can do it. But to stand, only few will be able to do something like that. But to stand in public, face to face, and cuss Liberian woman, you ever, if you're a true Liberian, you can't stand there and cuss a woman. I give you an example. During Madam Ellington, and I think most of you know about this story. What's his name? Tubman challenged her in some language that was used. Most Liberians were not comfortable with her language, accusing her of stealing, accusing her of other things, even if they were so. But most Liberians were not in favor of it. Tubman never repeated those charges again. That was the end, because he never got support from those kinds of statements. Because you don't challenge women in public like that. Women are our mothers, the mothers of the land. And those of us that born, you see, this is why Madam Sally was so successful, because the country people understood to be a mother, because most of them were born in the countryside, and they saw how much suffering their mother was going through just to raise them. And that's why Madam Ellen Sully was so successful. It's not like Liberians were they're afraid to start trouble with her. But people respect women, Liberian men, Liberian people in general. So she could have been more successful than what she did. But she refused. She refused. Not that she didn't know what she wanted to do. If that woman had come out and said, okay, you steal a penny, you're going to jail. If she to throw 2 or 3 people in jail, because these young people were looking up to her, they were not going to do that kind of stuff. Look at that kind of letter. That letter that was written by Christopher Nuro, I think his last name. I'm sorry that if I'm chopping it up. If you read that letter, if you were to have the opportunity to go through that letter, you will open your mouth wide. What? Is this what happening in Liberia? The son came into the car. What was the production? What did they get out of it? Nothing. What did Liberia get out of that? The oil blocks and what have you. They were just like this all over, tricking us. No structure. If you have a true structure that will be able to support the political system in a country, even if you have a nepotism type government where you employ all of your relatives, the structure will be there to support them. On the paper, the mother of the land presented Liberia to the international community as though Liberia were on a path of true liberation, which was not the case. And this is also what I'm going to argue. That because of the failure of the mother of the land to provide the structure for us, she was not able to support Dr. Bakai. I will argue when she made that statement, generational change, her intent is to bring Dr. Weah in, and perhaps with her support to Dr. Weah then would say, okay, well, let's that's okay, Omar, I would fix it. But if Dr. Bakai was to come in, the situation would have been worse, because it would have been exposed quickly. You won't have the kinds of mess money to expose the kinds of issues she had. So my argument this afternoon, before I go on to my main topic here this afternoon, folks, ladies and gentlemen, is that the mother of the land refused to supply the structure. Finally, before I move on, because of what she have done for us, Liberians do not have trust for authorities. You see, those are kinds of stuff that when you do to a country, you can do it for your own self. That's okay, but when you do it to a country, especially a country that is coming from civil war, the trust level among the citizenry themselves is very low because they just got through killing each other. Who are you going to trust? Nobody. Nobody. But to see the government that is supposed to be heading us, helping, did not even put in places that will be able to help Liberians to build up the trust. So nobody trusts the government. Nobody trusts the government. And I don't mean to be, but I'll be blunt. Anyway, I don't mean to be, well, let's forget it, but I'll be blunt. I'll be blunt. It's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. You can disagree or agree, that's fine. Because of the trust level that we don't have for each other. You stay in this diaspora and say you want to do something back home, and who you going to call? Your own relatives. Most of them, you can't even trust them to do stuff. There are few you can trust. It's because all of these things, I'm not saying that the government is responsible to build trust among our own relatives. That's not what I'm saying. That's not my argument. But the point is, if the institution is there to help, if you're here and send money to a friend to take care of business, that friend refused, that friend can be charged by the institution that have already set an example to be trustworthy. Then the people will follow. It never happened. This is where we are. Finally, because of the lack of institutional trust or structure, the bank, because she not only didn't have structure, she decided to weaken to weaken the legislature. It's the same legislature her son and her godson decided they're not going to respect because the institution is weak. The legislature is a co-equal branch, but they all have no power, especially with her. Man, let's go print the money, man. We need the money. When anytime the Omar will talk to them, they will listen. I don't think that's far-fetched. But here we are today. Her son, her godson, has spent 3 nights in jail in Liberia. It's placard all over the world. Most of our friends, not that they can't read, they know about this story by now. Remember when the situation started some months or so ago, when she made that statement? You might not play with me, you play with me, I'll take my son from that place there. Because she didn't have structure. My son helping her. Yeah, his son is spending time in jail. He's not done yet. I pray that these people will not be found guilty. Because I don't think Liberia will be that much forgiving. If they found guilty, they will expect them to pay for it. They will spend some more time in jail. So the main thing is the international community, those people who she used to present to them over the top structure, hollow structure, thing that have hole in it, nothing in between to fill it. It was not even strong. A paper pin, you drop that pin on the structure, it will break because there's nothing there to hold it up. The structure that was not there got broken. Dr. Weah came in. If there was a structure, these things would not happen. And if they didn't happen, Dr. Weah and the people would move on. But they came in, the structure was not there, things start falling apart. In the news, can you imagine how embarrassing Dr. Weah was at the UN? And the people talking about $16 billion. Other people, listen to this. True story, folks. The very first thing you hear, $16 billion, until the person tells you, oh, Liberian dollar. The first thing, and story, people that carry story, they have no time to explain. Oh, $16 million loss in Liberia. That one going, oh. You're not coming back to say, I mean Liberian dollar. No. Because the person, oh, you said 16 million. Why if that person was just walking? You said 16 million lost in Liberia? How that happen? They're not going to wait until they see the equivalency. They're not going to do that. So here we go. Can you imagine the embarrassment that Dr. Weah was feeling at the UN? First time going to the UN to speak, and they're talking about $16 billion loss. Folks, if this is not the way things supposed to go, but because they have no respect for us, and I'm saying us again this evening, because if you respect the legislature, we won't have the issue. But guess what? The international community that was also saying $16 million loss and what happened to the president and this and that, they also been reading that her son and her godson was also in jail for that. What kind of explanation she's going to give to her friends and at the international community about what is happening? It was so good that she was not. 2 weeks ago, she was in Nigeria, heading the observers. That was people who were supposed to observe the election in Nigeria. She was here. Can you imagine sitting there and they say, "Oh, Omar, your son and your godson in jail for that money issue"? You think she would pay attention? She's a mother, for Christ's sake. You think she was not feeling it when his son was in jail, knowing full well what Central Beach looked like? You think she was not feeling it? Folks, this is Samson to Liberian Public Radio. I just thought that I'd throw this here tonight. It's a Friday evening, have a conversation with you. Now, the main thing I want you to get out of this thing, because of no structure, number one, no trust for authorities and among ourselves. Now, let me go on to the big question that I have here tonight. Samson to Liberian Public Radio. Folks, this is what I do. This is what I do. I bring out issues for us to have a conversation on. Okay? Now, let's go on. All of the stuff that I just explained here tonight, okay? Let's take it a little bit farther. Other people we start putting different thing here and there. That's not what I'm gonna do. Let's go on. Let's go on. Okay. So since if we all agree that we don't trust authority, if we all agree that we don't trust each other either, if that's the premise of what we're going to start on now, do you foresee serious issue happening in the next 4 years, 5 years? The question is, and I'm not going to beat around the bush, if we have these kinds of things happening, do we expect election? Even here in our own little community election, or we're creating conflict among ourselves? How much more the fact that we don't trust each other? Do you expect the next election, if Dr. Weah and his people were to win? Think about it. Think about it. You have $16 billion lost. Other people say they're not. Think about it. You have a map of $25 million. They're still doing investigation. Think about it. You have Dr. Weah and his people going to borrow loan from other places, like the loan from China. Didn't work out. Think about it. You have Dr. Weah and his people going to Burkina Faso to get loan to build road. Didn't work out. Think about it. Think about it. What is the trust level with the government and its people? Think about it. You have Dr. Weah and his people going to say they're going to bring fishery business from Senegal. Liberians are up in arms because no trust. No trust. No trust. Now, and I'm not here to foment some sort of mistrust or what have you about the government. However, what I am ready to put forward for us to have that conversation among ourselves is this. The election that's going to be coming, with all of this thing that is happening, CDC, they're telling people doing like this, putting finger on their mouth, telling people they're not working, they're not ready to work with anybody because they're calling people enemy of the state. Do you see sedition? Sedition losing an election. It's gonna be fun. I'm serious. I'm serious. Do you see sedition? Monuba Molu and the rest of the sedition sitting there and say, yeah, we didn't win. And so, Doctor, we are going to concede. Do you see that possibility, folks? It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Do you also see the opposition that are claiming all over Dr. Weah to launch an investigation as though Dr. Weah and his people do not have the ability to understand if something is happening for them to initiate an investigation for themselves, that they're going to have to be coerced in order to start an investigation? Do you see the opposition? That every little thing that happened, they want to wrap it around Dr. Weah and the CDC. Do you see an opposition? If there's a little issue in accepting the result of Dr. Weah going for another 6 years. Oh my goodness. God, please, whatever it is, help us. Give us long life. This is going to be interesting. Those of us that are considering ourselves a political junkie, this is going to be interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Whatever. But people, folks, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So the point, on a very serious note, the government, Dr. Weah and his people, must start building trust. Must start building trust right now. Right now. Do things with transparency. Show yourself to the Liberian. You got nothing to hide. Nothing to hide. Show yourself to the Liberian. Because the election, the last election, was because of popularity. You didn't come to be president because you got something, some experience, or because of a track record that you can show, except football track record. So now, this next election, you're going to have to show track record based on the experience and say, I've done it. This is what I have done. This is what I can do. And these are things that I still want to do. It will only come about if Dr. Weah and his people start building trust among the Liberians. Trust for government to be trusted. Because we Liberian, we're very cynical. I'm just giving it to you. We don't anything like anything. Oh, you hear what the people now say? Oh, the government, man, the kind of thing that happened said with the election. They were print. The people got money to print the ballot. They were printed themselves. The kinds of things, rumors that will start. You think what kinds of stuff that CDC were doing to Madam Ellen, you think that's something? Watch and see. But if you build the trust with the Liberian people, and every time you open your mouth to say something, that you're saying it with authority, that you're saying it with trust, People believe you. If those kinds of things start, they say, we know the man. We know his people. You'll find something else to do. You'll find something else to do. If you can't win it, man, on pure election, please don't waste our time. But if you don't do that, and you go on with these kinds of shenanigans, things that are happening here and there, all they have to do is provide the information for themselves. All they have to do, the opposition have to do, and they continue to do that, is to provide the narratives themselves. Because the people that are supposed to provide the government narratives, they're not doing so. They are accusing people of being enemy of the state. That's about all they can do. And sooner or later, that door will no longer be haunting you because it will be too old. They will call it old story, fake news. And the people don't trust you. Where you going to fall back on for the people to believe that you can do certain things? When I started here, I started with loan from China, then go to the loan. Like any little baby you asking like brother know about the loan. It ain't come through. Oh. The loan from Burkina Faso, any little baby you talk about in like brother that you are going to do coastal road, it ain't come through. Oh. They were supposed to bring electricity to be able to have electricity in Monrovia. It ain't come through. Most of the stuff that CDC-led government have tried to do, which all that I support, nothing happening. And I blame that strictly on lack of communication. Lack of communication. If you have somebody who will communicate the process effectively to the people, it's easy. Because once the people understand something, I'm not saying they're going to be for it, but they will be able to argue from a position of understanding, and they're not going to muddy the water. Because there will be other people who also going to be supporting that same idea. Say, no, what are you going to tell me? You other people here? You other thing I'm reading? Where are you coming from with your information? And Liberians are very good at that. Disagreement, but if you give them something to disagree about, they will do whatever they can. The pro-poor agenda, we don't even hear about it anymore. The pro-poor agenda, the implementation, is not what will count. The communication process, the definition, will, after Liberia understand what the pro-poor agenda is, and once they get hold of it, Dr. Wia, nothing will take it from there. But you don't even discuss the pro-poor agenda anymore. They just say pro-poor agenda. You ask many Liberians, even some of the ministers, you ask them, what exactly is the pro-poor agenda? Some of them don't even know. So again, to submit to all of you again this evening, folks, it's going to be interesting. Because if we don't trust each other, as we're doing now, because these people, some of them have given us more reason for us not to trust them. How then would you trust somebody say, oh, no, there was no cheating. Oh. These are the things that we have done. Who's going to be heading the election commission? That's another issue. Who's going to be there? It's the same guy. So those are the kinds of stuff we're going to start the conversation now, so that by the time we get there, we'll be able to understand exactly what's happening. You can't wait for 2 years before you start the conversation. Because by that time, those who want to serve themselves, serve their own interests, would have gotten their foot into the door of miscommunication. And then anybody else that want to be truthful, you're going to have issues. Folks, this is Samson to Labron Public Radio. once again, we just thought we'd throw it out there again tonight. Once again, we just thought we'd throw it out there again tonight. And those of you that are going to disagree with us, that's okay. That's okay. What we're saying, we're not hiding it. This is a public information, and we all can read. So I'm not gonna go through that. But anyway, I just thought that I give you this type of information. For me, I strong. If people believe that the mother of the land provided structure, let them tell us. If there's a structure, why is it now that we're having all of this mishap? If there's a structure, why will you have money? According to the report here, saying that because they didn't mention structure though, but it's saying the way the banking institution was set up, they were not following procedures, no structure. What part of it? I don't understand. But anyway, I'm not going to argue anyway. But anyway, that's my point here tonight, folks. Please, whatever you do, it's a Friday afternoon. Stay safe. And let's come back again Monday, and we'll have fun. Continue to what I want you to do, though. Seriously, think about this: the upcoming election. And before I leave, let me throw one thing on the opposition that are together, put themselves together recently. Who among the opposition do you see that will take second fiddle? In other words, do you see Councilor Bronsky saying, yeah, okay, I will go vice president? Do you see Honorable Bernard Ure say, okay, I will go vice president? Or do you see Dr. Barkai to say, I will go vice president? It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. There's no question asked. If you're a political junkie like me, Liberian situation during the upcoming election, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Very interesting. Very interesting. Now that they have put themselves together as a coalition, whatever it is, during the election, it's okay, well, we no longer cooperating with each other. We're on our own. Dr. Weah will drive through that. He doesn't even need a campaign. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I'm truly. I'm just imagining what will happen. So I'm enjoying myself, folks. I hope you're enjoying yourself with this kind of scenario that I've just put. But seriously, think about it. Which one of those three fathers of the land will say, "I will go vice president. I will take a back seat"? I don't think so. And so as they come out again, remember now, Councilor Bronsky is supposed to be behind, sitting somewhere, and Senator Yumley should have been the political leader of Liberty Party. Now Councilor Bronsky is all over. We don't even see Senator Yumley anymore. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm a member of Liberty Party, but I don't know that either. But anyway, that's something we'd like to see. But can you see Councilor Bronsky going second? We'll see. Nothing is impossible. We'll see. It's gonna be fun. Okay. But anyway, folks, this is just something that I talk about tonight. Monday, like I said, I have this book here. Oh, another thing that I want to bring up. Samuel 12. I believe it's the same Samuel 12 that Dr. Formula took to the clinic some 5-6 years ago, and I'm looking for that document. I have it somewhere. They didn't have no business, and they put their mouth on Dr. Formula, and he took him to clinic. I'm telling you, intellectual clinic. I will read it. I will bring it up and I will read it. But anyway, let me the guy who Dr. Formula wrote about at that time, his name was Samuel D. Tour. I'm not too sure if they sing our minister, but we'll see. I will read it. But anyway, let me leave you and say thank you very much, folks. It's been a wonderful afternoon. It's almost evening time in the East Coast. We say thank you very much. Please stay safe. Ooh. Almost 9 o'clock. Is that my time correct? After 9. Okay, let me get out of here. Let me get out of here, folks. Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio. It's been a wonderful, wonderful evening. We say thank you very much. Please stay safe and let us do the best we can. All the information that I have provided tonight, it is not to degrade people. Even if I'm not saying what I'm saying, if you don't believe in it, that's okay. That's okay. I'm not asking you to take my word for it. Whatever I say, if you don't believe that is true, or do research, prove me wrong, show me some stuff, or write that I says X, Y, and Z, and this is what it actually is. That's how you have a debate. Okay. So I'm not going to argue with anybody. If you don't believe me, that's fine. You have the right to do that. And plus, I'm not asking you to believe me anyway. This is a talk show. I talk. And if you want to believe it, fine. If you don't want to believe it, that's okay as well. But that's not going to stop me, though. So, but anyway, let's leave it as that. We say thank you very much. We're not here to degrade anybody. All we want Liberians to do is to cooperate with each other and make sure the potential in that country is too high. A country with a young population, as Liberia is, there is no reason within the next 50 years that Liberia cannot be at the top. No reason. No reason. If we train these young people well, no reason that we can't be at the top. The population is too young. If we don't train these young people well, and Liberia remain like where it is, and these young people are not quite prepared to take on the next leadership, then we have serious issues. Samson too, I'll say good night to all of you. It's been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. Samson too, LIBERIA Public Radio. Good night, folks. Let's do it again Monday. In fact, please tune in Sunday for Freedom Watch. Mr. Soul, he's on fire this few days. Mr. Soul is on fire. Saying he came back from Liberia. He have a lot of video and he's on fire. So please tune in to Mr. Soul, where you'll be able to hear some real political talk. Not the kind of nyama things something to talking here and there. Mr. Soul is here. Tune in Sunday, Freedom Watch. Samson to. Good night, folks.
Shadow enter the Saba boy. Saba yoke. Long living by Mondi. On va pas où est loin. Le bocon nous est si à bober. Nous n'y voulons pas finir le kéra pour avoir son compte à mon père. Je suis Chablo dans son. Bonne Joja, bonne comme highway. Le bocon n'est Joja sien, comme highway. Elle s'est volée la trouve sous un uniwele. Pauni baso mono suta mumbe o nwadewa ara luki pauni baso mono suta mumbe o klo ani ablie sogo abaira onu kwedu sianuwe na chawe sianuwe bo biewe na begbere klaluwe sedre yokonwo na mabako wedemo wa ko isi agbole la tuwo so anu ni wele ibo so wa ke no ko di fo awe mo na da fi o so we ye tamo bien do mo igbe o Jojo mama come ne come highway anu se gbole la tuwo so anu ni wele mojo si awe pa yan kan wa nu trouble de jamuri pote wa o loyan tutu pote wa o onu loyan duwe popo we de mo o bona se gbole la tuwo so anu ni wele wala nyoma ko ma si mu e ma go ri ma ju so la ne ma yan we mo je de la yan wa o mo so na yo mo je dia ma yan wa na mo wa uru o mo je che ada yan wa na mo so na yo wala juru wa o ya lu ki pote wa o wala nyoma je gbe mu e lu ki pote wa o ata di pote wa o ara nyoma pa we de mo ona te gbole la tu wa so we nu ni were nígbà so e so go ta mu fe o to di ke fe ma de so wi gelo bebe kari le se aso du so awlo gbonti la fino ase idawe ma e de odi yala steveri CV de Côte d'Ivoire. Ouais. Comment qu'on est loin, on est pour la tout à tout à l'université. La division est loyale sous ta mon père. Y'a mon pote là, péri du sous pote là. Il m'a y a moins sogo, il va indi. Pourquoi ouais de moi, moi comment est n'amour? Pourquoi ouais de moi salou, comment est n'amour? Il y a loyal du web back à Nigeria. Y'a n'y'a pas mon nom Nigeria. Ouais comment est n'amour? Mon pourquoi ouais de moi sous ouais comment est n'amour?
Je rappelle que non José que Wanou le yandai. Youssou et Chablo, Delphino de Kela. Les mitans et Podei. Mon doudou est mon poupou yabi. De Rosette Né. Pourquoi ouais donne-moi au bien, il moi. Pourquoi ouais donne-moi au bien, il moi. Maman Dei Rosélie. Maman Dei Lokio, ne sais pas où yon. I don't think you know the power. Oh, I don't yes, I'm a black. I know Julien. You don't know the power. You might get them with bamboo. Don't do good, never be happy. Don't do good, never be gone. Massino de Massino. Yes, I'm a Leagio, is the power. Angel Fune Bleka. Anou papa DJ Gio, na popo ya bingo. Inana Colette. Ah na weanyo. Mate Hélène. Tade Joséphine. Sa na weanyo. Le ole. Ah ole o. Yama abiga mwe mwewo. Ah maman Taylor. Petit Juzo na be kwa mwewo. Ya kuiwa nae. Ola pause pour bébé Daniel. Mais bon dîner le carré, t'es mon paillot. Ça va devenir vraiment. Ok, petit du souké, ça bloqué. T'es Yoba. Pour les gens, ça te m'a appelé moins bon, ouais, bon. À nous, c'est gouvernement qui on, mais c'est pas ouais, non.